Hello there and welcome to www.henrythejedi.com. Oh yeah. Welcome guys to another amazing video tutorial. My name is your teacher, Henry Mbata, also known as Henry the Jedi. Although of course, I still can't whiz my lightsaber in front of you, you know? Or lately as my friend Scoville has decided to call me HTJ, which stands for Henry the Jedi. You know, I kind of like the acronym. Anyways, as you can see, today is a bright sunny day here in South Africa. We're just coming from the very cold winter that was just over, which is of course happening also during the World Cup. So now we have a bright sunny day. It's spring today, okay? And yeah, I'm just looking forward to having a good time and yeah, keeping a warm weather around, okay? Now, our video tutorial series with the Mokonzi the robot continues. Yep, it continues today. Now, today is an all-important topic in which we're going to discuss the main important thing about rigging, okay? Now, if you are new to animation, what is rigging? Well, rigging is the art that goes behind giving the proper tools to enable us to animate a character. By that I mean we're going to create several objects and dummy objects mainly to help us control the movement of our animation that we want to give to our Mokonzi the robot. To support us even further, get hold of our training DVDs today. You know, we've got plenty of them on our products page at henrythejedi.com, okay? Now, I'm going to use this opportunity to thank our customers from around the world. Thank you so much for your support. And let me refrain on this. It's because of you that we are capable of putting this kind of training together. So thank you so much for your support to all our customers. And I hope, of course, to see more of this kind of support in the future. If you haven't yet been getting all of our training products, I think now is the time. We've got the Kamaru training DVD, the digitally transformed, creative phenomena, plenty of tools really to help boost your creativity in many ways than even I myself can count. Anyways, guys, so let's continue with the Mokonzi robot tutorial series. By the way, I hope you can say it properly by now already. It's Mokonzi. Mokonzi, okay? As I told you, it means chief in my language, which is called Lingala. Okay, so guys, enjoy yet another amazing training DVD from henrythejedi.com. My name is Henry Mbata, also known as the Jedi. So, I'm out of here.
Okay, for you to see exactly what you're doing, I recommend you switch to edge faces. So we're going to right click on the perspective viewport and then select edge faces, okay? And then first things first, we want a clarity of thinking. So in other words, we need to hide certain elements as we are modeling certain others. So here's what we're going to do. We're first going to hide the legs at the front and those at the back, okay? So you can see we're only leaving the middle legs alone because they form the basis from which everything else will follow. So once we've selected those legs, we right click and then we select hide selection, okay, so that now of course we are only left with those middle legs in the scene. Now there are different ways in which we can create a rig, a proper rig that is for any character. And if a character has two legs, that's why 3D Max has an option. If you go to the create panel under systems, you see 3D Max has a biped, okay? Now the biped is suitable for any object that has 2 or 4 legs, okay? But unfortunately Mokonzi does not have 4 legs. Instead Mokonzi has got what? 1, 2, 3, 6 legs, okay, because there are 3 on each side. So because of that, we cannot rely on the biped's power. Instead, we are going to use what we use also in the beautiful butterfly animation tutorial, which you can find by when you go to henrythejedi.com under the tutorials. When you scroll down, yeah, there we go, from tutorial number 8. Remember, it formed the basis of the animation for the After Effects Unmatched promo video. Yeah, that butterfly. So we are going to use that power of the bones tool to animate Mokonzi, because again, as I said, the bones can allow us to add as many legs as we want, and because the biped is limited to only objects which have 2 legs. Okay, so just one thing to remember in the future, if you are meant to decide whether to choose bones or biped, it is now time to give Mokonzi its reg. Oh yeah, let's go ahead. We're going to create bones. Okay, and before we proceed, let's select this group here of legs. We're going to right click and then go to object properties. Okay, and then we're going to uncheck show frozen in gray because we're about to freeze it and we still want to see it, and then we're going to check the freeze option. So 2 things: uncheck show frozen in gray and then freeze, and then hit OK. So now you'll notice it cannot be selected anymore. And now we're of course going to come to the front viewport, select bones, and then we're going to start by drawing from this side here where the bone is supposed to start, like somewhere there. The bone will go on, sorry, let me zoom out. Bones, so the bone will start from there. Or actually even better, I think the bone actually has to start from somewhere in the middle, like that, at 0 unit on the x-axis. And then the bone will come here to this side, and then of course it will get there. And then when you reach the tip, simply right click to complete the creation. Okay, don't worry, I'm going to do it again so that we can see what I did. Simply select the first bone and then double click, select the first bone and double click so that you can select all 3 bones in the range, and then delete. I want to show you guys again what I did. Of course, we went to the create panel. Let me see, create panel, systems, bones. Okay, or you can go there, create system bones. Okay, and then of course, as I said, we start from 0 units on the x-axis there. Let me make it a bit higher so that it sits more or less in the middle of the leg, so it goes all the way there until it reaches this circular shape there, and then of course it goes all the way to the tip of the foot, and then we right click to complete the creation. Okay, and then we're going to select this bone. We need to adjust it so that it fits more or less the proper proportions of our object. Now, the first things I should warn you about is never use a scaling tool to adjust the properties of a bone, or else when you try to rig it, I can assure you you'll end up with problems such as twisted legs or twisted rigs. Okay, so what I always recommend is after you've created the bone, we go to the modify panel, as you can see. From here, of course, we can adjust the properties of the bone. Now, since we are still in the front viewport, here's what we're going to do. We are going to change the settings such as the width and the height. So you can see I'm adjusting the width a bit, so that of course it fits rightly the proportions of the leg, and of course the height, you can see I'm making mine thicker there. Okay, and then in here we also need to adjust the width and the height. I'm just making it thicker, of course, as I said, so that it just nicely fits with the proportions of the robot. Okay, that one can be left unknown perhaps. No, let me undo that. Okay, actually the tip there is alright the way it is. Then we're going to select the first bone and then double click so that of course select all the bones in the range, in other words bones 1, 2, 3. Select them, and then let's come to the top viewport here. Okay, you can see here quite a bit of adjustments needs to be done. Let's see which one needs to be adjusted. You can see it's quite too thick at the top here, so I'm going to reduce the width of the bones. As you can see, I'm reducing mine. Let's select the bones again, in other words all 3 bones. Select and move them to the position, of course, where the leg is. You can see that now. We are positioning it really at the center. And by the way, we don't want to select incorrect things at this point, so we are going to go to the selection mode here and only select bones, so that at this point 3D Max will not allow us to select anything else except, of course, bones. Okay, so I think the second bone to modify, let's see, actually, are we happy with this one first before we move on? Yeah, let's just adjust its width. This one also, we're adjusting its width. As you can see, it's making it thicker, of course. Okay. And then let's see, as you can see, we've made sure, of course, to position the bone right inside the foot. Okay, you can see. Now we are going to select all the bones again, bones 1, 2 and 3, select them. Now at this point, of course, as you can imagine, we want to duplicate it to the other side, but we don't want to create the bones again. So here's what we do. We're going to use the bone tool. So here's what we do. We go to animation, bone tools. Okay, if you are using 3D Max 8 or a lower version of 3D Max, you're going to see it under character panel here. When you go to character, you're going to see bone tools. Okay, so as you can see, we've selected all the bones, and of course you're simply going to, okay, first let's make sure we're in the front viewport. So we went to animation, bone tools. We are ready to mirror the bones. So as you can see, this pop-up now appears with all the bone properties. We are going to click on the mirror. As you can see, what does mirroring do? It creates an exact replica of all the bones on the other side. Okay, so of course we're going to hit OK, and now of course you can see it has quite perfectly positioned all the bones right on the other side. Yeah, you can see, of course, for yourselves now what a nice setup we have there. And now we are ready to display again the other bones that the other legs that we had earlier. So simply go to the display panel, the display there, scroll down, and then, or you can simply hit and hide all. Okay, so that now it brings them all, or you can simply right click anywhere in the viewport and then select and hide all so that everything can come back. Okay, now we're going to select, let's see, wireframe here, select these bones here. Smooth plus highlights. And then of course we want to duplicate them. So again, let's come here. We're going to go to animation, bone tools, and once more we're going to click on the mirror option. Now we don't want it to mirror on the other side, we only want it to mirror along this axis here. So let's see, the x-axis, the y-axis, yeah, that's the one to mirror on. So as you can see, we've selected the y-axis, and now simply adjust the offset like that, and then we're going to click OK. And then we're going to select the rotation tool, turn on the angle snap toggle, and we're going to rotate it so that it fits, of course, this leg here. Very important. Okay, so we're adjusting the position. Being very careful as usual. Let's actually come now to see this view here. You can see we're doing all within our power to position this guy here perfectly into the leg, especially at the toe level there. Okay. Yeah, you can see now what a great job we've done to position this leg here, of course, right inside the right position. Okay. Now of course, with these bones are selected, so simply select these bones here. We go to tools, animation, bone tools. Where's mine? It's actually open. Bone tools. Click on mirror, and now we want to mirror it on the x-axis, and then change the offset to 0 like that. Hit OK. You can see, of course, we still need to adjust it a bit so that it sits nicely in the leg. So simply move it, so that at this point, of course, becomes an exact replica of that one. Okay. And then let's see, yeah, so you can see now how this one of course is sitting nicely inside there. And of course, as you can imagine, we need to replicate also for the back legs. So let's go to the top viewport. We're going to select all these bones here at the front. Let's see. So let's see. I'm going to press F3. So we're selecting each of these bones here. There should be 6 in total. The ones making up the front here, of course. And again, with the bone tools, we're going to mirror them. We're going to mirror them on the y-axis, as you can see, and of course we move them backwards. Hit OK. And then from the top viewport here, we are simply going to position the bones in the legs. Yeah, I think that will actually work. Let's just confirm that by investigating. Yes, you can see how we've set up the bones there at the back. So basically you can already see for yourselves what a great setup we're having already. Okay, let me turn off the edge faces so you guys can see. Now most of these bones won't do a proper job unless they have a central control bone. Just like in real life, your whole body won't do much work unless the commands come from the brain. In a computer, the computer is useless without the central processing unit, the CPU. Okay, so the same way with the bone principle also, there needs to be a central bone which controls everything. So we're going to do that by creating another bone. Let's come to the front here and just create one like that. Okay, let's come here and we need to delete this tip here. Select it and we're going to delete that bone. Select this one here and let's go to the modify panel, and it needs a bigger width, a bigger height, that is, because it's really going to be the central bone. Okay, and then also click on the rotation tool. We don't want any rotation to it, so as you can see, we're going to right click on the click on the rotation tool and then right click on it. We're going to change the Y rotation here, for instance, to 90. Sorry, it must be minus 90 degrees, like that, so that it sits perfectly upright. X must be 90 and of course Z must be 0. Okay, as you can see there, because we want exact precision units. And we're going to select the move tool. On the X axis must be moved to, okay, let me actually also right click on the transform tools there. On the X axis must be set to 0 again, so that it can be right in the center of the scene there. And let's try to bring it down. And also, of course, it needs to be sitting in the center of the body where all the bones come together. So as you can see, I'm moving it right there. So you can see where it's sitting there, right in the center of the body again. Why? Because it's the bone from which everything will depend. So we can close this option here, and we might want to increase maybe the width. Okay, the taper, not much. Okay. So you can see now, yeah, you can see of course for yourselves where that bone is sitting, but I think it's a bit too short for, like, it needs to be a bit taller. So here's what you're going to do. I'm simply going to open up the bone tools and then click on the bone edit mode. Very important, click on the bone edit mode, select the bone. Let's see. Now you know what, editing it might cause unnecessary problems. It's easier to just create one from scratch. So let's delete that. We're going to create a bone from scratch. As I said, it should be much taller. Let's say you can start from there. Sorry, can actually start from there, then go all the way up like that. Again, delete that ending one. Select the bone again. Select the bone again. Go to the modify panel, and of course we're going to increase its height, as you can see. Again, rotation, make sure the rotation is 90 degrees on the x and minus 90 on the y axis and 0 units on the z axis. Select the moving tool, and again make sure it's at 0 units on the x axis and the y. Okay, and of course now we are ready to move it again into position. I think it needs a bit more width. As you can see, I'm increasing the width. Remember, it needs to sit again in the center. So now you can see, of course, it's much taller, you know. That will of course enable us to manipulate it much more easily. So you can see, of course, right now the bone setup that we have. And now we're going to move on to the next step. But before then, I want us to work like the doctors do, you know. Because if a doctor needs to analyze a patient, they need to go on the inside of the body to see exactly what is wrong. So let's learn from the doctors and follow in the same footsteps. First, I'm going to turn off my edge faces. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to open up the select by name button, or press H on the keyboard, and then we're going to select all the bones, okay, in the scene, only the bones, as you can see. Select them, and then you're going to click on the invert button so that it only selects the others. Okay, as you can see, we are selecting everything except the bones. So select them, and then we're going to right click, and then we're going to hide the selection. And then right click also, and then we're going to unfreeze all, so that we can now select. Actually, we can come here, select again, select that leg, right click, and then also hide selection, like that. At this point, of course, you can see for yourselves exactly what the only thing we are having right now. And guess what it is? This is actually the setup of the bones that actually make up our rig. Now from this is when we are going to control everything. Okay, now is the next part in 3D Max, in which I'm going to show you how the mechanical procedure that goes behind the scene of locomotion. Okay, now for our robot to be rigged properly, we're going to be using the need of 3D Max's powerful animation tools. Now the best way to animate bones in 3D Max is to make use of the powerful animation tool called inverse kinematics, or in short words, it's called IK. Okay, I stands for inverse and the K for kinematics. If you go to help and then user reference, you're going to see 3D Max will show you, if you type in there IK in the search panel, you're going to end up with this in this screen here about inverse kinematics. You can see there in the picture just what inverse kinematics does. Clearly it's used to rig characters with legs, especially. As you can see, it can be used to rig legs or arms. Okay, inverse kinematics. Now for me to show you guys how inverse kinematics works, let me show you a simple scene. Okay, you can even open a new scene and reset it. Okay, just a blank scene. Go to bones, or go to the create panel, systems and bones, and then come to the left viewport. We're going to create a simple set of bones that make up a human leg. So the leg starts with the upper leg, and then this is the actual leg that does the movement, and then you get, of course, the foot. Okay, now if I wanted to do inverse kinematics on this object to replicate the human motion, I could try to keyframe things, but if I do that, the calculation that it might work out might not be so accurate. Okay, so this is what we do. We select the main bone, and then we go to animation, IK solvers, and then you're going to see there IK solver, of course it means inverse kinematic solvers, and then we always use, for the legs, we always use HI solver, which means history independent solver, and then we pick the last bone in the cycle. Now after doing that, you'll notice 3D Max will give you a chain with a plus there. The plus actually indicates the chain. Now if I stretch the bone, can you see what is happening? Just like with the human leg, the leg of course stretches. You can see this is a typical motion that human beings also do if you try to jump up or down. So that's the power of inverse kinematics. Now we're going to use inverse kinematics also because it gives us the power to swivel the leg, as you can see. Because the human leg also swivels. Okay, so that's the power of inverse kinematics inside of 3D Max. Now let's go back to our scene and try to apply inverse kinematics.